Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. Well, the Brothers War is out, and it is having an impact on some cards in the secondary market. You're going to see that throughout the video today. Since the set just came out, though, we're not going to be talking about the Brothers War cards in particular. We just don't have a baseline yet. I'll try to work those in next week's video, though. But we still have plenty to talk about. Even though the market is a little slower this week, I am doing a $1 threshold in this video, which means we're not going to talk about a card unless it's moving at least $1 up or down. Usually we do $2. But quickly, a couple things before we get started. I do want to say thank you to 2 viewers that gave super thanks in last week's video, JJ and Thomas Wright. Thank you for the tip. Thank you for the support. And as always, if you want to give a super thanks, you can do that just by looking at the bottom of the video. But ultimately, hey, I'm happy if you're just here to watch. Leave a comment, give us a like. It all means a lot. The super thanks is always appreciated, but never expected. So thank you again to JJ and Thomas, and thank you to all of you watching. Quickly before we get into all the details, though, just a fast reminder, if you go to FlipsideGaming.com, you can use the Heroes promo code to save 10% on orders over $10. Currently, you can pick up the Brothers War products there, but they have a whole lot of other things on their website, too. Remember, if your order's over $100 or consists only of singles, shipping will be free in the United States. Also, whenever you use the Heroes promo code, it does support the channel, which is always appreciated. So thank you. And without any further ado, let's get into it. We're going to begin, as we always do, with a Standard Legal Spotlight. So Standard is going through some changes right now. Obviously, the Brothers War just came out. People are trying to figure out the format again. Let's see what's happening when it comes to some card prices. Diabolic Intent from Battle Bond. This goes down $1.76 this week to $26.10. So this was reprinted in the Brothers War, making it Standard, Pioneer, and Modern legal, but there's many new copies coming into the marketplace now. I am already seeing this in a couple Pioneer decks, Rakdos Sacrifice, Abzan Greasefang, and players are also trying this out in various other decks in Pioneer, Standard, and Modern. Ultimately, we'll just have to see what sticks. This is also in a variety of Commander builds, and it is seeing more play now in a build around a card from the Brothers War, Mishra claimed by Gix. Last card moving down in this section this week is Liliana of the Veil. The Modern Masters 2017 copy is down $202 to $49.99. The Innistrad copy is down $622 to $52.97. So this was reprinted in Dominaria United, which did make it Standard and Pioneer legal for the first time. But like the previous card, also added a whole bunch of new copies to the marketplace. Like I said, Standard is changing with the release of the Brothers War, but I'm sure this is going to be seeing play going forward. It has been in the popular Grixis midrange and Rakdos midrange builds, plus a lot of others. In Pioneer, you're going to see this in Rakdos midrange, Mono Black midrange, and more there. And as you know, this has been a solid Modern card for a long time. Modern, it's in Jund, Infect, and more there. And it's in a number of Commander builds too, including Turgid God of Fright / Turgid's Lantern. First card moving up today is Sheoldred the Apocalypse. This goes up $1.28 to $54.99. Now, this was a big Standard card last season, and I'm sure it will quickly solidify a spot in the new season. It's been in Grixis midrange, Esper midrange, and more. Pioneer, you see this in Rakdos midrange, Mono Black midrange, and more there. Modern, sometimes this is in Yawgmoth. Legacy and Vintage, you see this in Doomsday builds there. It is also a very popular Commander, and in the 99 of many builds, including a new one, Gix Yawgmoth Praetor from the Brothers War. And the last card in the Standard section today is Reckless Stormseeker. The Innistrad double feature copy is up $1.05 to $7.50. The Innistrad Midnight Hunt copy is up $1.62 to $6.67. So in Standard, this has been in Mono Red aggro, Rakdos aggro, Gruul aggro. Those decks may be getting better with the reprinting of Monastery Swiftspear in the Brothers War. But Pioneer has been the key driver here. This is in a newer build there that has been performing very well. Gruul Vehicles. And to a lesser degree, you also see this in 4-color Humans, but Gruul Vehicles is really the story here. This also does get some Commander play, usually in Tovolar Dire Overlord / Tovolar the Midnight Scourge decks. And that brings us to the Pioneer Legal Spotlight. This time we're going to be talking about the Pioneer legal cards moving the most this week. And we have a whole bunch going down and a couple going up. The Chain Veil from Magic 2015. This goes down $1.40 to $26.50. This is retracting after some recent increases, and the reason it was hot is because it's getting a lot of play in Nykthos Ramp, and that's been a very popular build. It also gets commander play in a number of decks too, including a Traxopraetor's Voice. Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth. This is the copy from Ultimate Masters. It goes down $1.40 to $38.79. This is also retracting after some recent increases. You see this in Pioneer, Rakdos Midrange, Rakdos Sacrifice, and more. Modern, this is in Yawgmoth, Mono Black Coffers, and more there. Legacy, it's in Sultai Depths, Vintage Combo Shops. Plus, it's a huge commander card in many different builds, including some new ones. It's a good upgrade to the Warhammer 40k commander deck, the Ruinous Powers, and it's in fresh builds around a card from there. Be'lakor the Dark Master. Plus, I see this in many Mishra Claim by Gix builds now, too. Old Gnawbone. This is the one from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. It goes down $1.55 to $28.52. This was in the Beetle and Grimm's Here Be Dragon Secret Lair not too long ago. You do see this in many commander builds, like the Ur-Dragon. One of my favorite cards to say, Indomitable Creativity. It goes down $1.93 to $22.11. This continues to retract a little after some pretty aggressive spikes that happened recently. In Pioneer, this is in Temur, Izzet, and 4-color Indomitable Creativity builds, although Temur is the most popular. In Modern, you see this in 5-color Indomitable Creativity, and this also gets a little commander play in various decks. Emrakul, the Promised End. This was jumping aggressively not too long ago, but now it continues to retract and find its price point based on the play it is currently seeing. This is down $2.37 to $57.72. In Modern, this is an Eldrazi-tron, sometimes Mono Green-tron. Legacy, you see this in Mono Green Cloudpost, and it gets some commander play too, usually in Kozilek the Great Distortion decks, but it's also in a number of other builds. Grim Tutor from Starter 1999 goes down $2.42 this week to $73. This was recently reprinted again in another Secret Lair, the Fortnite one. This gets a lot of commander play. It's in Carrick, Son of Yawgmoth, and many other builds. Last card moving down in this section is Mox Amber from Dominaria. Down $5.16 to $44.59, not a big surprise here. This was just reprinted as one of the retro frame artifacts in the Brothers' War. It does see a fair amount of modern play in the Grinding Station builds, although you are seeing less of those in the current meta. This is in a variety of commander decks too, though, including a new one, Urza Lord Protector from the Brothers' War. First card moving up in this section is Kytheon, Hero of Akros. This is from Magic Origins, up $1.09 to $7.31. You see this in many Humans builds in Pioneer. The most popular one is Mono White Humans, and that's just part of the reason this card is hot. In fact, there was a 2022 Orzhov Humans Pioneer Challenger deck that came out recently. Guess what? It had no copies of this, so some players do want to pick this up to upgrade the deck, make it more competitive. In Modern, you also see this in Azorius Humans there, but aside from Pioneer, the other format that's moving this the most is Commander. This is in 2 new builds around cards from the Brothers' War, Myrel, Shield of Argiv, and Harbin, Vanguard Aviator. Last card in this section, Jaya's Immolating Inferno. This is the copy from the list that was only there for Zendikar Rising. It moves up $1.32 to $3.95. Now it is worth noting that this was just reprinted in the In Memoriam Secret Lair. It is a good upgrade to a couple of the Warhammer 40k commander decks though, the Ruinous Powers and Tyrannid Swarm. It is also in fresh builds around Magnus the Red from the Ruinous Powers and Magus Lucia Kane from Tyrannid Swarm. That brings us to the modern legal spotlight. A lot of cards moving down, a lot of cards moving up today. Let's take a look. Blightsteel Colossus from Double Masters is down $2.05 this week to $65. Maybe this doesn't see the same amount of play that it used to, but it's still in a variety of commander decks. I have seen some using this to upgrade one of the Warhammer 40k commander decks, Necron Dynasties, and I've seen this in fresh builds around a card from there, and Rakhyr the Traveler. Oh, Denizen of the Deep from Portal Second Age. You had to be here, of course. Down $2.20 to $16.54. This copy has been very turbulent, and the price is still inflated even though it's going down due to scarcity online. No one's paying this for the card. Doesn't really get much play to speak of, and you can get other copies for just a few cents. Gemstone Caverns. This is the copy from the list. It is down $2.47 this week to $42.22, but other copies of this card are going up in value. You're going to see them later in the video. When it comes to this one, though, it is retracting after some recent increases. In Modern, it's in Hardened Scales, Calibrated Blast, and more. This also gets a good amount of commander play in a variety of builds, and it is a good upgrade to Necron Dynasties, plus in fresh builds around Rakhyr the Traveler. Prince of Thralls is down $2.54 this week to $15. This is continuing to retract after some pretty aggressive spikes recently. You might remember it did get hot because of the demon sub-theme found in the Ruinous Powers. Many wanted to upgrade that deck with this card, or added to fresh builds around Bellacord the Dark Master. Lord of Extinction, the copy from Ultimate Masters, goes down 281 this week to 508. Now, this was reprinted in Double Masters 2022, and that's why it's as soft as it is right now. It has seen a little increase in Commander play and builds around one of the Eternal Legal cards from Infinity. That's the Most Dangerous Gamer. Last card moving down today is Flusterstorm from Iconic Masters. It goes down 329 this week to 3106. You might remember this spiked last week, so this week you're seeing some retraction. It is a great sideboard card to deal with Storm-style strategies, and those have been popular recently. It's found in many modern sideboards, some legacy sideboards. In Vintage, you even see this crossover into main decks, plus it is in a number of Commander decks too. First card moving up in this section is Mirrodin Besieged. It goes up $1.95 to $4.99. Alright, this one is moving because the Brothers' War is causing it to see an increase in Commander play. It's a good upgrade to both the Brothers' War Commander decks, Urza's Iron Alliance and Mishra's Burnished Banner. It's in fresh deck lists around Urza Chief Artificer from the Urza deck, and Mishra Eminent One, as well as Ashnod the Uncaring from the Mishra deck. And I'm seeing this in early Commander deck lists around a card from the main set too, Urza Lord Protector. Arkham Dagson, the Cold Snap copy up $1.21 to $7.83, the Double Masters copy up $2.47 to $8.24. Similar story here. This is seeing much more Commander play now. It's a good upgrade to Urza's Iron Alliance and Mishra's Burnished Banner. It's a new builds around the same cards from those decks, Mishra Eminent One, Ashnod the Uncaring, and Urza Chief Artificer. And it's also in some Commander builds around cards from the main set too, Urza Lord Protector and Urza Prince of Krug. Mycosynth Golem, this is the copy from the list. It goes up $3.72 this week to $21.31. This is another good upgrade to Urza's Iron Alliance, and it's in new Commander builds around Urza Chief Artificer. Plus, it's in Commander decks around cards from the main set, Liberator Urza's Battlethopter and Urza Prince of Krug. Beyond that, I see this in fresh Commander builds around a card from the Forces of the Imperium Warhammer 40k Commander deck. That card is Belisarius Cawl. Shape Anew is next. It goes up $4.34 this week to $4.98. So this has only been seeing a tad bit of Commander play recently. However, there is a card from the Brothers' War that could possibly push a Shape Anew modern deck. The card is Portal to Phyrexia, and some are speculating that it is the payoff that a modern Shape Anew deck would need to be competitive. Time will tell. And finally, for this section, we have another copy of Gemstone Caverns. This is the one from Time Spiral. This goes up $5.14 this week to $45.13. Alright, that's going to take us to the Vintage Spotlight. This is where we talk about the cards that see play in Legacy, Vintage, or cards that are just popular among collectors this week. Couple things about this section. In some cases, the cards we discuss here don't get a lot of sales in any given week. And in those examples, the prices you see on the screen might be a little more reminiscent of what you might see on a price tracking website. If cards don't sell a lot, we do have to lean a little bit harder on asking price to get the numbers. Also, too, for some of the older, more iconic Magic cards, the price you see on the screen could fall somewhere between the price of a high-grade raw and high-grade graded copy. But if that price is not at least somewhere close to the middle, or just generally if the price on the screen isn't matching up with what I'm seeing when it comes to recent sales, I will point that out. First, we have City of Traders with a small percentage increase up $1.03 to $249.49. This is in Legacy Mono Red Prison, Painter, and more. This also gets some Commander play in different builds. Another small percentage increase with Sarah's Sanctum, up $1.62 to $300. This is in Legacy Enchantress, also found in many enchantment-heavy Commander decks. Yet another small percentage increase, Taiga from Revised, up $1.63 to $395. The Alpha, Beta, and Unlimited copies of this are pretty steady. Obviously, these original dual lands are expensive cards, but they see a ton of play in Legacy, Vintage, and Commander. When the Magic 30th Anniversary Edition was announced, many felt that the revised dual lands may take a financial hit, since they are the most abundant of the printings. It is important to note that all of these cards did lose value initially, but when people saw the drop starting, they decided to buy into the dip, which did stabilize some prices, and we did see last week this card as well as Volcanic Island moving up pretty aggressively. Others are still moving down, though, to some degree, so just stay really close to the market if you're interested in picking one of these up. Remember, they are rares in the new product technically, but they doubled the frequency that they appear compared to other rares. Even though the product is not technically legal to play, most players that want these duels want them for Commander, and many playgroups will welcome the printing from this product. Now, like me, you might have seen a lot of articles and posts that say these dual lands are dropping 50%, but in reality, the drop has been about 10 to 15%. Buy list prices were down 50%, which is very different from actual card prices, and Alpha Investments did discuss this in a video last week, but it appears that many viewers may have misunderstood the difference between buy list drops and price drops. At the end of the day, it's really hard to say what's going to happen with these cards because we just never have seen anything like this before. Time will tell where these prices shake out. Here's another revised dual land. The other copies of this are relatively stable, but this one is seeing a small percentage increase. Savannah, up 194 to 351.99, but I guess the story here is it's not going down. Grindstone from Tempest, up 295 to 37.99. This is in Legacy Painter. Sees a little commander play too in various builds. Mana Crypt, the copy from Mystery Booster, goes up 321 this week to 185.94. Now, Wizards did sell some more Mystery Booster Convention Edition boxes as part of a Secret Lair bundle called Festival in a Box recently. So yeah, there's probably more copies of this entering the marketplace, but still jumping up a little bit this week. In Vintage, you see this in Grixis Tinker, Paradoxical Outcome, and more. It's obviously in a lot of commander decks too, and it is a good upgrade to the Heads I Win, Tails You Lose Secret Lair commander deck. Helm of Obedience, up 340 this week to 74.99. You still see this occasionally in a Legacy sideboard, but not as consistently as you once did. This is in Vintage combo shops though, and it can appear at times in a variety of commander builds. Grim Monolith, up 549 this week to 279.99. This is rebounding after some recent decreases. In Legacy, this is in the Epic Gamble. Seems to be getting a little more commander play now too. I've seen this in Urza Prince of Krug deck lists. This one is a big mover. Triumph of St. Catherine. This goes up 1254 this week to 1995. It is from the Forces of the Imperium Warhammer 40k commander deck, and it does get play in fresh builds around some cards from there. Inquisitor Greyfax, Marneus Kelgar, and it's in a lot of other commander builds too. However, this is now starting to see some Legacy play as a potential finisher in some builds, which is making collectors notice the card. I've seen this in builds like Jeskai Stoneblade and Azorius Miracles Control. Here's a card that's also a retro artifact from the Brothers War. It is Howling Mine, but it's the one from Unlimited going up 51.60 this week to 299.99. King Suleiman is up 77.52 this week to 342.51. Diamond Valley up 89.99 to 899.98. Now we get into the big ones. Jizam Jin. This is up technically $597 to $5,994.99. But is that for real? Well, not really. The price is high due to some high asking prices right now online. High-grade Raws can break about $2,500. A graded 9 sold recently for $38.50. Same story here. Library of Alexandria technically going up $1,826 to $7,999.99. But this increase is also due to some really high asking prices out there right now. I did see a graded 9 sell for about $2,600 recently. High-grade Raws can go for about $2,260. And that takes us to the Commander Spotlight. So in this section, all the cards are moving, at least in part because of Commander, but there could be other reasons too, and Commander might not even be the key driver in all cases. So I'll let you know as we go through. First, we have Balefire Dragon from Ultimate Masters. It goes up $1.05 to $33.74. This is a popular commander card found many times in Dragon builds. You see this often in Kali of the Vast there, for example. Urza's Incubator. This is the copy from Commander 2015. It goes up $1.08 to $49. Good upgrade to the Ruinous Powers, and it's in many fresh commander builds around Be'lakor the Dark Master. Flooded Strand from Onslaught, the original, up $1.12 to $84.49. This is rebounding after some recent losses. Of course, it's in many builds in Modern, Legacy, even Vintage. Also sees a ton of commander play in builds old and new. Chainer's Edict. This is the one from Torment, up $1.21 to $8.41. And this gets a little commander play in a variety of decks, but it is a very big removal card in the Pauper format. That original Blood Moon from the Dark is up $1.24 to $90.35. This original copy is rebounding after some recent decreases. In Modern, you see this in Murktide Regent, Rakdos Midrange, and much more. Legacy, it's in Mono Red Prison and Goblins. This also gets a lot of commander play too, and I have seen some getting this to upgrade Tyranid Swarm, or to put in fresh builds around a card from there, Gyreson Star and Kellermorph. Beyond all that, this was also mentioned in a video by Nitpicking Nerds this week. The video was called Top 5 Tips to Power Up Your Commander Decks. Could have brought a little attention to it, and this original copy tends to move the most when there is movement. Akroma's Memorial from Time Spiral Remastered. This goes up $1.26 to $15.99. And it is seeing more commander play now as an upgrade to Urza's Iron Alliance, and it is in fresh builds around Urza Chief Artificer. Plus, this was in a Feldegriff deck in a Shuffle Up and Play episode on Tolarian Community College this week. Could have brought some attention to it. King's Assassin up $1.28 to $19.97. This does get a tad bit of commander play. You see it many times in Ramsey's Assassin Lord, for example. Crater Hoof Behemoth. This is the copy from Jumpstart. It goes up $1.29 to $31.93. This is seeing some increased commander play now and builds around Tawnos the Toymaker from the Brothers' War. Occasionally, though, you will see this in Legacy Elves too, and it was another card mentioned in that same Nitpicking Nerds video we discussed a moment ago. Mindbreak Trap. This is up $1.33 to $36.37. This shows up in some different commander builds, but it's also a popular Legacy sideboard card in many decks. In Vintage, you see this in sideboards as well as main decks. Goblin Engineer, the Modern Horizons copy up $1.15 to $5.91. The Time Spiral Remastered copy up $1.41 to $7.10. Here's another card getting more commander play now. This is a good upgrade to Mishra's Burnished Banner. It's in fresh builds around Mishra Eminent One and Ashnod the Uncaring. This is in some commander decks around cards from the main set. Mishra Claimed by Gix and Mishra Tamer of Mcfadden. In Modern, you see this in Tamishi Bloom. Legacy, it's in Painter. Additionally, this was in 2 decks on a Game Nights episode of the Command Zone podcast this week. One was an Ashnod the Uncaring deck. The other card was Queen Kayla bin Krug from the Brothers' War main set. White Plume Adventurer. This is up $1.52 to $2.27. And this is also getting some additional commander plays and upgrade to Forces of the Imperium. And it's in fresh builds around Inquisitor Greyfax. Lord of Atlantis. This is the copy from Time Spiral. It goes up $1.53 to $18.85. Now, this is being reprinted as one of the 30th anniversary promos, but this copy is still moving up, as you can see. It is found in some Merfolk commander builds, and in Modern, you see it in Merfolk decks there too. Vorinclex Voice of Hunger. This is the one from the list that was only there for Cal time. It goes up $1.63 to $22.88. And yeah, you do see this in a number of various commander decks. Leech is up $1.95 to $8.50. Okay, this currently does not see much play to speak of, but there is some speculation and perhaps a buyout is occurring around this card now. Why? Well, the answer lies within the potential leak of an upcoming product. And if you don't want to hear about the leak, I'll let you skip to the next card now. Alright, if you're still here, a number of weeks ago, some cards that may have been from Phyrexia All Will Be One were leaked. Now, if those cards are real, then Poison Counters will be making a comeback in that set. Exorcist up $2.13 to $29.36, doesn't see much play to speak of, but there is a little activity around the card this week. Maybe it is the start of a buyout, something to keep an eye on. Charisma is up $2.35 this week to $17.56. This is an older card that's yet to be reprinted, and it is getting more commander play. Some are picking it up to upgrade Tyranid Swarm, and it's also in fresh commander builds around Gyrison Star and Kellermorph. Archfiend of Despair up $3.44 to $55.57. This is getting more commander play now. It is a good upgrade to the Ruinous Powers, and of course many are putting this in new builds around Bellicor the Dark Master. Biotransference up $5.35 this week to $15.99. This is from the Warhammer 40k Necron Dynasties commander deck, and of course it's in fresh builds around some cards from there. Imhotep the Stormlord, Zarek the Silent King, Trazyn the Infinite, and Anarchire the Traveler. But there is another reason this card is heating up. The Brothers' War is an artifact-centric set, meaning this card is getting more play in Commander. I have seen some picking this up already to upgrade Urza's Iron Alliance and Mishra's Burnished Banner. Others are adding this to fresh deck lists around cards from those decks. Urza Chief Artificer from the Urza deck, Ashnod the Uncaring, and Mishra Eminent One from the Mishra deck. And I'm seeing this in Commander builds around a card from the main set too, Mishra Tamer of Mcfadden. And the last card in this section is Survival of the Fittest from Exodus. It goes up $6.58 this week to $253.76. This does show up in a variety of commander decks, but it also gets a good amount of play in the pre-modern format, and that format seems to be moving more card prices recently. Guess what? It is back this week, the Premium Spotlight. I do have 3 cards to talk about, believe it or not. Now, there's always cards spiking and dipping in the premium market, and we can't possibly cover everything. So I try to pick cards in the section that feel like their movement is substantial, that it's not going to be temporary, not a buyout, not something that just dried up for the week. So let's take a look at what I chose this time. First, we have the foil copy of Shape Anew from Scars of Mirrodin. It is up $16.15 to $23.99, but is that for real? Well, guess what? Yeah, I have seen copies selling for about this price. Next, we have Triumph of St. Catherine, the Surge Foil. Now, some players aren't too crazy about these Surge Foils. They do tend to curl pretty badly from what I've seen. In theory, though, this is up $29.71 to $49.34. Is that real? Well, yeah, guess what? This is about the average sale price right now. I have seen some go for less, but I've also seen some go for more. And finally, as promised, some more copies of Gemstone Caverns. The Time Spiral Remastered Foil is up $53.80 to $289.99 in theory. The Time Spiral Foil in theory is up $54.80 to $450. Okay, is this one for real? No, not this time. These are inflated prices due to some high asking prices currently online. Now, the Time Spiral Remastered Foil in high grade can sell for about $135. The Time Spiral one can break $200, but many times you see them selling for cheaper as well. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. If you're still here at the end, hey, thanks for being here. I appreciate that. Until next time, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page, as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.